This is a Vespera Hygrometer sensor from Vaonis, and this guy I spent $120 US on. Now that price did include free shipping, which was a 3-day international UPS, so at least they're not nickeling and diming me on the shipping, but it's a decent amount of money for a tiny little box. And when you see what's inside of it, it's even tinier because it's this tiny little sensor in here. Basically it has a screw, and they have a specialized, I think it's a Torx head screwdriver, and so they give you the screw and they give you this sensor, and you don't want to lose the screw because it can come out, and the sensor has these little pogo pins, so there's 4 connectors here, and this guy screws into a Vespera, and my understanding is it works for any of the Vespera line, and it basically adds a humidity sensor and I believe a temperature sensor as well. So it's basically a way to say, hey, for 120 bucks, we can add temperature and humidity sensing. And my understanding of the benefits of this is it allows the internal dew heater to turn on at the right time. So it's not super clear on their website, but the implication is that the dew heater doesn't work unless you add this sensor bit. And so when I see 4 connectors, I think power ground, like a signal on a clock line. My suspicion here is this is an I2C humidity sensor, which you can typically get for, you know, well under $7, but it's in a nice little package that plugs into the Vespera. So I feel kind of like this is a hardware dongle that enables the dew heater. So instead of saying, oh, pay us 120 bucks and we'll enable your dew heater, they're like, pay us 120 bucks, we'll ship you this little easy to install device, and that enables your dew heater. So it feels kind of like a hardware software switch, because it seems to me like it would have been a lot cheaper for them to include this device just built into every one than to make you install it as a separate little piece. Maybe it's a super expensive sensor, I don't know. I'm going to be investigating that and seeing if I can figure out how to make my own though. Now, in case you're wondering, there are no instructions hidden underneath this thing in the box. It's all cardboard packaging, so all recyclable. I'm kind of glad they gave me this screwdriver because I don't know if I have a Torx that small. So let's put this in. It's not too difficult to install. All right, so this is the business end of the Vespera here. You push down on this little blank lens holder, and it's pretty clear where this guy goes. There's this opening here that has a straight line and kind of a curved area. There's the screw hole, and then there's the 4 pads that those contacts make contact with for electrical connection. Incidentally, these 2 pins here, so there's different resistances between those pads if you have the different filters, and that's how the Vespera understands which of the filter is snapped in at any point in time. And before you install this guy, it'll say no sensors detected right here. So I'm going to try pushing it in without the screw in place. So it seems to have dropped into the slot and is kind of stuck in there a little farther. We're going to try with putting the screw in the center now. Alright, the screw is a bit tight there, but now it's going in, doesn't feel like it's crossed or anything. Alright, so I believe I have it installed correctly. First I want to check that this thing still operates the way it's supposed to, so that is snapping in and out. And you'll notice there is a gap around the outside here, so I think enough air is going to move through that gap to reach the sensor that's inside there. I don't think it needs a lot of airflow. So once you have it installed, it basically just looks like that, a bunch of little holes in there. Alright, so after installing it, this guy here initially said no sensors detected, but then about a second later it flipped up, and now it says, hey, it's 26 degrees centigrade, 56% relative humidity. Alright, so that's all there is to installing it, and at this point it apparently just works with the software, and the software handles everything for you.